Hi, and welcome to this video. We're going to be showing you how to do some basic astronomical literature research. My name is Katie Fry. I'm the Assistant Head Librarian at Wolbach Library, part of the Center for Astrophysics, and my colleague is
Maria McEachran. I'm the reference librarian and the interlibrary loan librarian here in Wolbach Library. Katie's been a librarian here in Wolbach since October 2012, and she has an astronomy degree. So she knows how to do this type of research. And as of this year, I've been working in Wolbach Library for 20 years. And hopefully, Idan can vouch for the quality of our assistance. So back in March of 2014, the CFA, the Center for Astrophysics, was hosting a virtual event which attracted international scientific interest. Working that day was very difficult because even with hardwired workstations, you couldn't get resources to load properly, and it was a bit of a problem. There was so much interest. And people from all over the world were waiting for an important announcement. A group affiliated with the Center for Astrophysics, the CFA, had used the BICEP-2 instrument, a telescope called the Background Imaging of Cosmic Extragalactic Polarization, at the South Pole, and they claimed to have discovered gravitational waves. Their existence, the existence of gravitational waves, was predicted by Albert Einstein in 1916. Unfortunately, even after the big announcement, the discovery didn't stand up to scrutiny. However, not too much longer later, on September 14th, 2015, a group affiliated with Caltech and MIT using the LIGO instrument, the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory, which is based at two different sites, Hanford, Washington, and Livingston, Louisiana, discovered gravitational waves. They had determined that two black holes were colliding, and the collision had caused a rift in space-time, which was detectable by LIGO. And interestingly, the group at Caltech and MIT had based some of their research on the methodology used by the CFA. So the CFA's efforts, our group, their efforts contributed to the discovery. And even as recently as last week, LIGO was in the news with more gravitational waves. They seem to have been associated with two black holes colliding while being gravitationally pulled into a third black hole. Since the two black holes were spinning, they were kicked outwards as they coalesced. But it's expected that within the year, they should be falling back inward. So the group at LIGO will be watching out for this event to occur. So not too long ago, Katie and I were contacted by someone who was working on a paper about LIGO, and she became interested in gravitational waves, and she came to us looking to do more research. So we'll share some of the research methods that we used and some of the best resources that you can use, because there are very, very many resources, as you've probably found, available to you through Harvard and Smithsonian. So the very first thing we'll touch upon, maybe you've already got your Harvard key, but maybe not, but as the name implies, your access to the available resources depends on having a Harvard key.
okay. So, all right, so here is the Harvard Key website. The URL is https://key.harvard.edu. And right here, hopefully you can see my screen. In the middle, there's this link that says Claim Your Harvard Key. You can go ahead and click on that. You're new to Harvard Key most likely, so go ahead and click Continue. And then you want to fill in your information here. You'll need your Harvard University ID number, your last name, and your date of birth. And then once you fill that in, you just continue and follow the instructions to get your Harvard key set up. This is going to be really important in order to access any other information that's available through the Harvard Library online. So
our next resource that you will need your Harvard key for, because once you go to log into this, and it's a very important resource, this is the Astrophysics Data System. And it was actually developed at the Center for Astrophysics by the Smithsonian Astrophysical Observatory in conjunction with NASA. And if you need to know one resource for doing astronomy research, this is the one to use. There are many of the affiliates, the scientists at the CFA who know this and don't know anything else. So you'll want to know how to get into the ADS to do your research. And it also contains the most current research available in your topic.
All right. So I put the URL for ADS in the chat, which hopefully you should be able to see in the side of the screen for the video interface. It is ui.adsabs.harvard.edu. Then hopefully you can see the URL in the chat. So this is the Astrophysics Data System right here. So let's go ahead and just do some searching so we can show you how the system works. The main search bar here is sort of like Google. You can just put in some search phrases and it will bring up some results. So let's go ahead and just start with that one. Gravitational waves. Let's do a search on that. There it goes. So searching all the content in ADS, and it's coming up with 47,000 results. So quite a large number of results. There are filter options on the left side here and a little bit on the right side as well. So we're just going to show you some of those options. First of all, you're probably going to want to limit yourself to astronomy-related papers instead of physics or general. But you may find physics to be useful as well. But for this, we're going to go ahead and click on astronomy and then choose limit. So we're going to limit to just astronomical resources. There's also a way here to filter by keyword. So a lot of authors select, words that kind of describe the content of the paper more generally. And you can see there's a lot of them in here. We can pick something that looks relevant. So we were talking about, this black hole and gravitational waves. So I'm going to go ahead and select black hole physics and limit to that. So again, now we're down to 1,377 results, where we had over 4,000 before. So hopefully these are getting more on topic. Now I'm just looking at these results, and I just happen to know, because I have a lot of experience with astronomical literature, that this first result is from the AAS Nova, which is a kind of a blog system that's set up by the American Astronomical Society. The articles in there are really interesting, but they're not peer reviewed. And we're doing astronomical literature searching, so we want to make sure we're looking at peer reviewed material. So one way to do that is to look at the refereed filter and select refereed and limit to just that. And you'll see that that first hit, the one from Nova, is not here anymore. We're also down to 1,121 results, so we lost about 100 results from that. Gravitational waves, as Maria was saying, are a fairly new phenomenon. Well, we're learning about it fairly recently. It's new astronomical study. So I think we're going to limit to just maybe the last 5 years. So there's a slide bar here. You can see all these years of articles that have come up. They've been published from 1974. But let's just go the last 5 years. We can slide up to 2015. There we go. You can also use the text box here to limit the results. And once we apply that, we're going to be down to only 348 results. So this is a much more manageable set of resources to take a look at. Okay. And so now we're going to start looking through these, and we see articles that look interesting. Let's say we like this article here. So you can click here, and at this point you get to the article abstract. You can see the abstract, the authors, the journal it was published in, the date it was published, those keywords I was talking about before. Here we go. In order to access the article through Harvard, you're going to actually want to link your ADS account. You want to create an ADS account and then let it know that you have access to resources through Harvard. So to do that, you'll want to sign up for an account and put in your email address, your password, make your account. Now, I already have an account, so I'm just going to go ahead and log in myself. Okay. And the next thing you want to do once you're logged in is go to your settings under account, and then go to this link here on the left that says library link server. And here you want to select update and choose your institution. So we are Harvard University, so we're going to select that and apply. All right. So now if I go back to that article I was looking at before and refresh the page. There we go. A new link showed up on the right that says My Institution. So this is going to let me access this article through Harvard's online subscriptions, assuming Harvard has a subscription to this. And if it doesn't, we would get information saying that we'd have to look for it elsewhere. But I know we have a subscription to the Astrophysical Journal, so this should work. And here we are at the article itself. So the Astrophysics Journal, you can see the full text of the article here. You can also download the PDF. There you go. You can print that, save it to your computer, however you are interested in accessing that. So that was walking through how to find an article in ADS and how to do some searching in ADS. As Maria said, this is the platform that basically all astronomers use to do their research. So there's a lot there. And if you have any questions about how to use ADS, they have some extensive help pages. The URL should appear in the chat. It's adsabs.github.io/help. You can go there and get a lot of information about ADS, excuse me. Here's the help pages right here. I think you can see on my screen. So they have a lot of information about how to do a query, how to read your search results, by your user preferences, and etc. all here. If you have other additional questions, you're also welcome to reach out to us at any time as well.
Okay, well, as Katie lets slip, the next resource we'll look at is Hollis. And I noticed on our Google Doc, as I see it now, we'll update this, but what we used to tell you is when searching Hollis or another library catalog, that it's often beneficial to identify one book or several books in the catalog that seem to really be on topic for you, and then going to that section in the library stacks, and you'll find more books. But we can't do that now, so we'll just give you a virtual introduction to Hollis. Hollis is multifunctional. It was originally created to work somewhat like Google. This version was first instituted in July 2018, so you can search all, but otherwise to use it as a catalog, as the Harvard Library catalog, including Wolbach Library, you would search catalog. So you could search a title in catalog and then refine it as needed, or you could search a subject and you could click whether you want it to be journal articles or books or ebooks, archival material, and you can even narrow it down to the specific library that you'd like to see. So we'll give you a preview of Hollis.
So this is Hollis, and Hollis is the Harvard Library Catalog. The URL should be in the chat, and it's hollis.harvard.edu. If you're not seeing it in the chat, that's HOLLIS.harvard.edu. It is similar to ADS and kind of Google, where it has this big search bar, and you just type in what you're looking for and then do a search. So we're going to do gravitational waves, and you'll see there's a couple options that show up. You have everything, library, catalog, and reserves. Everything includes things that we may not actually have access to, as well as it will also search article titles found within journals. Library catalog is going to search the items that Harvard has actually cataloged and put into Hollis specifically, including journals, titles themselves. So let's go ahead and do library catalog searching. And just give it a minute to load everything up, because it's looking through a lot of resources. Okay, and you see a list of titles that show up here. You've got books, you've got films, you have all sorts of resources, some manuscripts as well. On the right, though, you can see these filter options, and since we're all working online, it might be best to click here to limit to only the online resources that come up in our catalog. So many of these are going to be ebooks, but again, that video is still showing up here. And like with ADS, you can also, look for resources that are more current. Let's maybe do 2000 to 2020. Something from the 1930s might not be as relevant for us on gravitational waves. So we're down to, looks like 268 results. I didn't catch how many were there at the start. You can see the different types of resources. You have books, there's some dissertations, just that one film. And you can just kind of filter down more if you'd like, and you can also view all the results that have come up. If you're interested in accessing one of these, you can click into the record itself just to get more information about it. There it goes. And on that page and on this as well, you should be able to find a link to view it online. So here's the full text available at University Press Scholarship Online Physics. Click on that. It's just going to take its time to get there. But there we go. Here is the book online, and many books, they're all going to be a little different depending on the publisher, but they'll be pretty similar. So here you'll see all the chapter titles down here, and if you're interested in any in particular, you click into it, and it should bring up the PDF, or at least the article on the screen. Here we go. So here's a full text of the chapter, and you can also click here to view a PDF of that particular chapter, save it to your computer so you can read it later if you'd like. Let's proceed. Anyways, there you can, lets me save it to my computer. And again, those links are all right down here as well, these view online links, so it should also bring you right to the online resource. Okay. And so next, I think we're going to talk about using journal search in Hollis.
Yes. So if you have a journal title that you're interested in checking out, and you're wondering if Harvard does have a subscription to the particular journal, you can plug in the information if you have a citation, and you can use the journal search, and it will bring you to the page if we have a subscription to it, or if it will tell you to get in touch with the library to see if they can get it for you. You can do that too. We can help you with that, depending upon how much time you have. If it's the second last day of your class, we might not be able to do it so quickly, but always get in touch with us and we'll see if we can help.
All right, so I'll just briefly show you how to get to the journals page. So from the Hollis main page, at the top you'll see some links. So there's journal search right here. I'll also put the URL in the chat for that one. And so here you can have, if you're looking for like you see a journal like physical review letters, for example, you can type in the title right here. So physical review letter. There we go. And go ahead and search. And it's going to bring you into Hollis, but it's going to bring up just those journal records that have that contain the words physical review letter, because that's what I searched for in that interface. And there we go. This one says click check for online access. We can go ahead and click there. We should be able to get it online. But as that previous page said, a few libraries also have it in print. So if we're able to access that, you could go see it in print. But otherwise, continue to click here to view online, and we'll get to that journal. Okay.
So one of the other options in Hollis, if you're looking for more information, there's a database search that's available. And as you've probably found by now, Harvard has access to many, many, many databases. So what they have done in the database search through Hollis is to categorize them. So the astronomy astrophysics databases can be found in one place, the ones that they suggest that you check out. It'll include ADS, but there are a number of others as well. Some of them are more general, but there are a few that are worth noting. So down, best databases for astronomy and space sciences, you'll see there's a link, and it will give you several suggestions. So one of the ones that I'd like to point out is that I think it's at the very bottom of that particular list is Web of Science. It's just one that I find particularly useful. I've used it for doing historical searching for particular topics. Also, if someone gives me a partial citation, doesn't include much information to request it if we need, I'll go and try to verify the citation here. But it's more inclusive than just astronomy. You know, it includes medical journals and occasionally even philosophical titles. So depending on the main topic that you're searching, this might be a useful source for you.
Yeah, so I have brought up Web of Knowledge, or Web of Science, following that link from the astronomy databases. It's also here at the top picks for general databases as well, right here, Web of Science. That's a great database. So here's the search. We're going to search by a topic. You can also, you know, do the limiting by year. So it's the last 5 years, what I've been doing. You can also add rows in your search here. And if you were looking at particular author names, or particular journal names, you could put in here. So like Astrophysical Journal. And you got your filter set up, you can run your search. And then you can see a list of results here that we have, hopefully we have access to. Since I got to Web of Science via Hollis, it knows that I have access via the Harvard Library. So it comes up with these links that say try Harvard Library. And if we click on one of those, it should route us through to the journal via Hollis. Here we go. There we go. There's the article. And we saw a page similar to this earlier. Again, you can read the whole article here, or you can click on the article PDF to download the file to your computer.
So if in the event that all of this journal searching is too much information, we can refer you to our own Wolbach Library homepage. We have curated a number of the most important astronomy and astrophysical journals, and you'll find a link on our homepage. That way you won't have to go through Hollis. You'll find the link there and you'll get where you need to go on the Wolbach Library journals page.
All right, so let me bring up the Wolbach Library webpage. Here it is, and I'm putting the link in the chat right now as well. So the journal page that Maria was mentioning is right here. It's under Search and Find. So you hover there, and you'll see this Journals and Proceedings link. If you click on that, you'll find the list of our, our curated top astronomy journals. Quite a lot in A's, as you might expect. Lots of journals listed here as well. So if you're looking for physical review letters, you can scroll down and find it right here. All of these links will route you through your Harvard key, so you may get asked to log in if you haven't already logged in for the session or recently. And you should be able to browse those journal pages to find articles that you're interested in. And I guess that would actually be a good time to show you a little bit about how to do that. So we have the Astronomical Journal. So I'm going to open this up. And again, every publisher is a little bit different, but they all have a lot of similarities, and they all have archives. So here's Astronomical Journal. Let's view online. So this is the homepage for this particular publication. You can see the current volume here, but if you're interested in the archive, there's a drop-down menu here. That's how they have it set up on this webpage. And you can go all the way back to 1988 online. And if you click on any of these volumes, so let's say you had a citation for an article from Astronomical Journal, 2005, volume 130, you would go ahead and click on the button to find it. If you knew the issue number, you would click into that issue. And then here's a list of all the articles published in that issue back in 2005. And we have access to the PDFs. So click on here to get to the full article, or if you want, you can click onto the title to get that HTML view of the article, or at least the abstract as well. So back to our library homepage, though. Let's see. There are some other interesting resources. We have collections of ebooks that we're highlighting that could be useful. So like Handbook of Chemistry and Physics, Cambridge Core, those are some really good ebooks in astronomy. We also have information about the projects we're working on in the library. And if you want to reach out to us, if you have any questions, under About, there's the Contact Us page. And you can find our email address and our phone number and our emails. All right.
And our information will also be on the Google Doc that we'll share. So please feel free to get in touch with us if we can be of any help at all.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, and we hope this has been helpful.
Bye-bye.